Wow, where do I even start? To all the Karens out there who are having a full-on meltdown over missing a few episodes of General Hospital, here's a little secret. The episodes are filmed in advance. Shocking, I know. And remember when we were all stuck in lockdown and GH wasn't filming? They still managed to air new episodes, and on Fridays, they threw in a classic one just to keep us from losing our minds. So, take a breath, grab a Snickers, and relax. GAs will survive, unlike those who are actually struggling, like the people in California dealing with the devastating fires. Your obsession with GH not airing every day is, frankly, insulting to those going through real-life tragedies. Maybe save the drama for the screen and show a little compassion for once. Now, for those convinced Michael is on his way to the afterlife, you might want to tune into State of Mind Part 2 with Chad. I mean, Chad's basically begging you to stop with the doom and gloom scenarios. He's talking about how he's still processing the death of his dad and everything else going on. Plus, he's taking a break, but could come back with a whole new vibe. So chill with the Michael's dying panic. Also, he mentions Frank left the door wide open for him, so there's that. And let's talk about Jocelyn and her supposed cheating on Cam. For everyone screaming that she betrayed him, let's keep it real. They weren't married. They didn't have kids. So please, stop acting like it's some epic betrayal. She was with Dex before breaking up with Cam. Yeah, not great, but let's not pretend Joss is the only one with baggage here. I'm not defending Willow, because what she did was terrible, but Jocelyn is kind of a hypocrite when she tries to act like cheating doesn't count because there was no marriage or kids involved. Please. As for Michael's lack of justice, seriously. The guy has been cuckolded by his wife and uncle, burned to a crisp, and now he's getting poisoned by Cyrus. But hey, don't worry. Drew's living the high life with Willow. That's totally fair and not at all a massive slap in the face to fans who've been rooting for Michael. And here's a little history lesson. It wasn't just Luke and Laura that drew in the record-breaking viewers. It was the whole fairy tale vibe. People want romance, intrigue, and adventure, not custody battles and hospital bed drama. I mean, seriously, we're watching Michael struggle in a hospital bed. And you're going to make it worse by showing him waking up with a tube down his throat? Come on, this is a soap opera, not an existential crisis. Remember what we came here for. And if you need any actual plot ideas, I've got a ton. Just hit me up. Finally, Willow. Yeah, she's not going to win against Sonny, Carly, Diane Miller, and the Quartermains. Even her own lawyer knows it. So good luck with that, Willow. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. Well, folks, brace yourselves. GH has just introduced their new resident slimeball, Drew. Honestly, at this point, Rick is practically a Boy Scout compared to him. I know, the lay fires are a bigger deal. But seriously, can we take a moment to acknowledge how good GH has been lately? I mean, it's such a refreshing escape from the mess of the real world for just an hour. I'm praying for peace and healing for everyone affected by the fires, of course, but let's appreciate our guilty pleasure while we have it. Now, here's a thought. Does anyone else remember when Harmony, who I never liked, especially for what she did to Willow, made Carly promise to protect Willow from Nina because her love would suffocate her? Carly actually backed off, just like Willow and Michael asked her to. And now, look at where we are. As for Drew, well, what has happened to him is a perfect reflection of the writers we have now. There's no way anyone would have written him saying what he did to Carly in such a situation years ago. It was like cruelty on steroids. Seriously, I could barely believe my ears. It was completely unnecessary and downright heartless. I'm not trying to bash young people. There are plenty of brilliant ones out there doing amazing things. But this batch seems to have half the substance of what we used to get. Maybe I'm wrong, Maybe they aren't even that young, but whatever the case, this kind of writing was unheard of back in the day. I've just never seen anything like this before, and don't even get me started on whoever wrote that dialogue. That person is a complete imbecile with zero class. Oh, and speaking of disasters, who exactly placed that bomb in Sonny's home? Also, Drew's whole interaction with Nina when she called to tell him about Willow and Michael? Not a fan. Does Drew really not realize that Nina has the power to completely wreck his relationship with Willow? What a fool. Cyrus is really out here with his Bible, injecting people like he's some kind of holy pin cushion expert. Classic. As for Drew, it's clear as day. He's still so in love with Carly. The writers gave them this sweeping, poetic love story, and Drew? He was head over heels for Carly. But, surprise, Carly didn't prioritize him, so he graciously dumped her. Now look at him, doing everything he possibly can to push her buttons. Because why would you go to all that trouble for someone you've totally moved on from? Oh wait, you haven't. Got it. And seriously, where does Drew get off acting like he has any leg to stand on when talking to Carly? The three he's got are all equally flimsy. All that hypocrisy he's throwing around? Sir, please back up a few feet. Look in the mirror, and then repeat those judgmental words to yourself. Maybe it'll click. Then there's the ongoing debate about the difference between Willow and Chase's relationship versus Michael and Willow's. Here's my take. When Willow was married to Chase, it wasn't exactly romantic. She married him because he was dying, and no one wanted to be the bad guy and say no to a dying man. Oh, and did I mention she was in love with Michael? Yeah, that marriage was already dead before it even started because it was built on lies. Now, Michael and Willow's marriage, that's a whole different story. That one was actually based on love and family. But here's the kicker, Willow didn't just cheat on Michael. She cheated on her kids too. And now their whole world's a mess, all thanks to her poor choices. But of course, it's not just Michael she's hurting. Let's talk about the children who no longer have a stable family because Willow's caught up in Drew's manipulation. And let's not forget Nina. Oh, Nina, this is her second chance at motherhood, and it looks like she's already repeating the same mistakes, including keeping her own daughter in the dark about her affair with Drew. Lovely. What gets me is the hypocrisy of it all. Y'all are out here acting like Willow's the villain because she cheated on Michael, but when she cheated on Chase, you were all for it, no questions asked. It's almost like some of y'all can't see beyond your selective bias. It never fails to surprise me how inconsistent the love for certain characters can be. So, Drew and Jason are twins, right? That would make them in their early 50s. Honestly, it really hit home when they had a flashback to Michael as a newborn. And Jason made that big promise to keep him safe. Ah yes, the classic twin moment. But then there's Drew, who, well, let's just say he has an interesting relationship with Willow, who's barely in her mid-20s. Their whole dynamic? Kind of uncomfortable, to say the least. As for Jason, well, at this point, maybe he should just step in and take action. Here's an idea. Take care of Willow, Nina, and Drew, and tell them the kids are in the car. Then, knock Drew out and, well, deal with the rest of them. Drive them out to the Pines, and let's just say, it would solve a lot of problems in the world of General Hospital. Oh, and speaking of characters we just can't seem to get behind, Ryan Chamberlain, that whole storyline. Definitely one of the most frustrating. It dragged on forever. Back to the hospital. Why on earth would they leave Michael's door unprotected? Especially with all the recent incidents involving Elizabeth's credentials? Security really seems to be on vacation. By the way, General Hospital Studio is shut down due to fire damage from the wildfires. Just another day in Port Charles, right? And then there's Willow, marching in and declaring she's Michael's wife, making all of his medical decisions while her companion stands behind her. It's pretty clear what's going on. She doesn't seem to care much about Michael. This is all about custody. I can't say I'm a fan of either her or Drew. It just feels all wrong. I really hope someone catches Cyrus in the act soon. It's like he's got some secret VIP pass to the hospital, sneaking in and drugging people left and right without anyone batting an eye. How is this happening? And speaking of things that make no sense, Drew says he went to prison for Carly. Carly should have shot back, "No, Drew, you went to prison because of your lover's mother." I mean, let's get the story straight, shall we? Then there's Sasha, still talking about how she has love for Michael, even though he's lying unconscious in a hospital bed. I'm just over here hoping they keep her single until Michael wakes up. Let's not make this any more a soap opera than it already is. And speaking of ridiculous, Michael filed for divorce before his accident, after Willow kidnapped their son and took him across state lines with her lover. There is no way on earth any judge would give Willow medical proxy at this point. This whole plotline is absolutely laughable. G8 is really pushing the boundaries now. Finally, Sasha's reaction when she saw Michael in that hospital bed, so heartbreaking. You can tell she really cares about him, but come on, let's give her a break and let her grieve in peace. This is becoming a bit much. The tangled web of General Hospital family connections. Let's dive in. Sasha and Michael's baby is going to be one of the most connected little ones in the history of Port Charles. We're talking nearly every major family, except the Cassadines, will be in the mix. Scorpio? Check. Spencer? Check. Quartermain? Absolutely. Corinthos? Don't even get me started. This child will be related to so many people, it'll probably need its own family tree just to keep track. And hey, I had this thought. If the baby's a girl, she could grow up to marry Ace, and then, boom, another family connection. But let's be real, that would technically be an adoption link, so it's a little less dramatic. But still, the whole thing could practically be a soap opera plotline in itself. Oh, and let's not forget the possibility of bringing the Ashford family into the fold. Or maybe another branch of the family tree with people of color. It's about time those connections were made more clear, right? Now, let's break down the more confusing bits. Liz and Lucky are related through adoption, though I'm not sure if they even remember Rick Weber as Laura's adoptive father anymore. Does that count? I'm not sure we're on the same page here, but hey, it could be relevant. As for Ace, well, he's not technically related through adoption unless the writers pull some twist and reveal that he's actually Spencer's son. But so far, Nicholas has zero connection to Sonny, so don't expect any biological ties to the Corinthos family there. Let's talk about those real family connections to Ace. Heather Weber's actually related to Jason Morgan because she and his biological mother were cousins, making Ace Jason's second cousin. But before you get too excited, there's no Quartermain blood in there, so no rich genes to worry about. And Nicholas? Sure, he's a half-sibling to Lucky and Lulu, but again, no direct biological connection to Michael, just more of that messy Port Charles family drama. In short, Sasha and Michael's kid is going to be a major player in the web of Port Charles families. They'll be related to everyone, but don't expect a lot of actual biological connections unless, of course, the writers decide to throw in a curveball. Jack Brennan. What's his deal? So, Jack Brennan has been around for a little over a year now, and I'm still trying to figure out what exactly his deal is. He's one of those characters that keeps you intrigued, but does anyone else feel like we still don't know much about him? His intentions with Carly, for instance, are they genuinely pure, or is he just playing some long game? I personally love the chemistry between them. The back and forth banter is great, but there's always this nagging suspicion in the back of my mind. After all, the guy has a bit of a checkered past, and Carly just happens to be the ex-wife of a notorious mob boss. I want to believe he's on the up and up, but at the same time, his interest in Carly could very well have ulterior motives. Speaking of ulterior motives, what's with his odd obsession with Dex's death? It feels a little too personal, doesn't it? Sure, he could just be trying to help Jocelyn, but considering he's a WSB agent running a field office, I'd think he'd have more pressing matters than investigating the murder of a local cop. Unless, of course, there's something more to it, like maybe he has a personal stake in the case. But no, he's totally fine handing over sensitive information to a civilian. That just doesn't sit right with me. Brennan doesn't seem like the type to do anything just because. He's always a few steps ahead, and that makes me wonder what his true game plan is. I will admit, though, I love the character. He's played really well. It'd be fun to see the WSB recruit Joss without Carly knowing, just to watch Carly go ballistic when she finds out. Can you imagine the tension there? Carly and Jack would be at each other's throats, hating each other 1 minute, and then maybe finally coming together in the end. In my head, it's already written, edited, and ready to play out on screen. As for Brennan's current feelings for Carly, I think it's pretty clear he's genuinely interested in her now that the whole Pikeman thing is out of the picture. He doesn't seem to care about Sonny anymore, so I'm not buying into the theory that he's just trying to get close to Carly for some business advantage. Sure, he probably approached her initially because of the whole Pikeman situation, but that chapter seems to be closed. If he's using her for anything, it might be more about Jason than Carly. Remember when Brennan tried to recruit Jason, and Jason shut him down? Brennan made some cryptic comment about how Jason might need him someday, and that they'll talk again. The possibility of Jason working for him still looms, but that was before Sam's death, so who knows if they'll even follow through with that storyline. Overall, my take on Brennan is that he's not some mustache-twirling villain. I think he's genuinely interested in Carly, and I do believe he's capable of doing some good, but he's also willing to cross any line to get what he wants, and that could spell trouble down the road. Jason, of course, is convinced Carly shouldn't trust him, and the writers have a habit of making Jason's gut instincts right. So I'm enjoying the dynamic between Carly and Jack, but I'm not betting on a happy ending anytime soon. Where do I even begin? First of all, Joss has officially earned the title of Queen of Sass. Honestly, who didn't want to stand up and applaud when she called Willow a skank? Sure, there are a ton of other words that could have fit, but honestly, that one works perfectly. As for Carly, I was just waiting for her to knock Drew out when he blamed her for Michael being in the hospital. Like, girl, I can only imagine the thoughts running through her head. How did I ever end up with this guy? Now, let's talk about Willow. I just can't wrap my head around how they're writing her. Why is she suddenly so clueless and, well, kind of trashy? She took his child across state lines without permission. I mean, you'd have to be seriously out of touch to not know that's a legal no-go. And who the heck was watching those poor kids while she was off in another room with Drew? Both of those kids were unsupervised in a hotel room. Someone needs to call that out, and pronto. Joss, on the other hand, really shone in those scenes. Quick correction though, Willow only took Wiley to DC, not both kids. Nina was watching the baby. Still, it doesn't make Willow any less reckless or stupid. I get that she's supposed to be naive, but come on, she's a grown woman with 2 kids. If anything, she should be more jaded, not acting like some lovesick teenager. Going to DC? That's not her. Willow is not dumb, just being written that way. And can we just take a moment to appreciate how mature Joss was in the scene with Willow? When Willow tried to throw the whole Cam thing in her face, Joss actually owned up to it, acting like a full-grown adult. She handled it so much better than Willow, who, by the way, is supposed to be a decade older. How is it that the 21-year-old is more mature than the 30-something? But the thing that bothered me the most? Willow's complete lack of self-awareness. She still hasn't seemed to process what she's done. She's sitting there thinking it's fine to be messing around with her uncle-in-law. And the direction they gave the actress? Don't even get me started. She can barely muster a tear when the father of her children is potentially dying, but she's practically swooning over Drew. As Diane would say, that's just icky. Also, Willow's history with Shiloh is clearly repeating itself. She's drawn to Drew the same way she was with Shiloh, totally unable to make decent decisions and falling for his manipulation. Drew might not be as toxic as Shiloh, but he's still way too selfish to realize how much he's ruining Willow's life. That scene at GH, where they convinced themselves that taking Wiley to DC would be educational, was just disgusting. If Drew was half the man Michael is, he would have stayed far, far away from her. Ate away from her. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.